Hello, साथीहरु के छ? I hope everyone is doing well and happy Friday. So the weekend is just around the corner, right? So आजको यो भिडियोमा म तपाईहरुलाई actually मेरो आफ्नो सिस्टमको अलिकति रिभ्यू गर्न गइरहेको छु, like what system I built under the budget of $300. So to build this decent PC, I sold my PS4 and my old Alienware laptop for around like $350. So $350 को बजेटमा मैले एउटा decent gaming PC बनाउन खोजिरहेको थिएँ र like I was able to like buy the mix of used and new products, right? So for the used, I pretty much went for everything except for graphic card. र ग्राफिक कार्डको कुरा गर्दा चाहिँ नि अफकोर्स $300 भित्र त तपाईँले कुनै पनि रे ट्रेसिङ गर्ने ग्राफिक कार्ड पाउनुहुन्न, लाइक कुनै पनि RTX भर्जन त पाउनुहुन्न, but like you can get a pretty decent GTX NVIDIA cards, right? So GTX ले चाहिँ नि रे ट्रेसिङ त्यस्तो राम्रोसँग गर्न नसके पनि there are like still very good cards like 980 Ti or 1080 Ti if you have a few bucks to spare. But I went ahead and did some research, and I just bought this a brand new Geforce GTX 1660 super overclocked version from NVIDIA off the Amazon for around like $180. Okay, so I think like मेरो सिस्टममा सबसे पावरफुल भनेको यही छ, तर यसले खासै हुन्छ नि, अनि मेरो CPU चाहिँ नि, if you just take a look around my rigs over here, right, you'll see that I have a GTX 1660 super. And if you take a look at my CPU, it's pretty old. It's a decade old. Like this probably was released back in 2011, and it's almost a decade old now. But like Intel CPUs, unlike your AMD counterparts, are pretty good CPU. They just ages fine like a wine. Even though they are pretty old like this, they still have like a lot of potential inside them. i7 Core 2600 GTX 1660, they just go very well. So neither your GPU or your CPU are gonna bottleneck each other. So bottleneck को concept गर्दा चाहिँ कस्तो भने कि साथीहरु, तपाईको यदि एउटा certain hardware अलिकति overpower छ र त्यसलाई ड्राइभ गर्ने, जस्तै हाम्रो केसमा के भइरहेछ भने GPU लाई CPU ले ड्राइभ गर्छ, right? So your CPU is pretty much going to drive anything on your system, RAM, your cache memory, your what do you say, the hard drives, anything, right? So CPU is going to drive everything on your system. It's the heart of your PC. So what I mean by bottlenecking here is that imagine if you're like just purchasing, like if you're like buying RTX 3060, which is a very, very super powerful GPU, right? So तपाईको CPU चाहिँ नि यदि मेरो जस्तै अलिकति ओल्ड छ भने चाहिँ नि के हुन्छ भने even though fact, right, your GPU can be like a very, very high power, your CPU is not able to drive, is not able to initiate, or is not able to command your GPU to like utilize its full potential. So एउटा example लिँदाखेरि, imagine you just bought your Ferrari, right, which can go above like 500 miles per hour. I never bought Ferrari, but let's just stick with 500. I don't know if it's gonna go above 500 miles or even like below, or like if it's just gonna drive below 500 miles. But your state law is just gonna limit you to drive around like 60 miles per hour, right? So what you can imagine like this is that your state law is your CPU and your Ferrari is your GPU. So your state law is bottlenecking your GPU so that it's not, like able to utilize its full potential. It's not able to like really show what it is really made for, right? So मेरो केसमा पनि अहिले graphic card पनि त्यही भइरहेछ. Graphic card is very decent. It's not like a high end. But one good thing about this graphic card is that NVIDIA has done a very good job. This is a DDR6, and it's based on Turing architecture, the same as your RTX 2060 or higher cards are based on. Unlike your 1060, which is based on Pascal architecture, which is a generation older than your Turing architecture, right? So graphic card को बारेमा म धेरै अहिले बोल्न चाहन्न. It's just gonna confuse you more, right? So I'll just stick with very, like with the very basic things. So एउटा गेम म टेस्ट गर्न गइरहेछु यो ग्राफिक कार्ड र CPU कम्बिनेसनमा, and that's going to be Forza Horizon 4, and it's already running on my machine. But the thing is that, you know, like, one interesting thing is that Forza Horizon 4 was just recently released along your Xbox Series X. Xbox Series X is from the same generation as your PS5, right? Which is your latest next gen, or you can just call it current gen, like depending on which date you are watching this video. So the thing is that, you know, like, this graphic card is just gonna run this game on full detail above your 60 FPS. Now bear in mind, I'm running this game at 1080p because my monitor is meant for 1080p. That's the max my monitor can go. 4K gaming को लागि चाहिँ नि GTX 1660 अलिक under power छ. For 4K gaming, I would just recommend you to go at least 1080 Ti or above 1080 Ti. The Geforce 1080 Ti very not 1080p your resolution. Okay. So without any further ado, let's just test this. Okay, so just for your startup, right? I'm using my Xbox One controller to play this game because this game was exclusively made for Xbox Series X and Xbox One. Now when I said exclusive, you know, I meant by console exclusive. So Microsoft never released this for PS5, and I wouldn't doubt, you know, like, on that question, it's their exclusive game, right? So they would just put that game on their console or under Microsoft Windows. Matter in fact, you can't even find this game for Mac operating system. Now that's one of the things I love about the Windows PC, you know, over Mac, for at least for the gamers, you know, like, gamers को लागि चाहिँ नि Windows PC is always going to be better because a lot of the kernels, like, or the API the games are built on, right? Most of the games are built on either OpenGL or utilizing the DirectX, DirectX 12, or like whichever is the latest one. So go for the Windows PC. But if you are just using for your general work, or, you know, like, you just want to stick with the brand, you can go with the Mac operating system, you know, but whatever your Mac does, your Windows is going to do the same. And usually the Windows PC are cheaper as well, right? So without further ado, like, let me just start the game, and I'm just going to show you some matrices, the live matrices over there. Okay, so I'm already inside the game, and the very first thing I want to show you guys is the video settings here. Okay, so like I said, मेरो basic मा गयो भने I don't think I'm going above 1080p. So advanced मा गयो भने you can see that almost everything I can has been set to ultra. Okay, everything. Just for this video, I'm just gonna turn off my camera so that, you know, like, I can just stay focused on the game. So म यदि game भित्र गयो भने I think my camera is just gonna go behind the actual game. It's just gonna run on the background because the game is just gonna overtake the screen, right? So once I am here, you can see that everything here is maxed out. Okay, everything, like, तपाईले कुनै कुनै कुरा high देख्नुहुन्छ भने I can't go beyond high because that's the max I can go, but you know, everything is set in ultra, and that's the good thing about this game. Okay, so another thing I want to show, yeah, let's do this before jumping right into the scene, right? I'm just gonna talk a little bit, just cruise around the town and just go somewhere. And one thing I want to bring up here is that the matrices window on the right hand side, as you can see, your FPS is above 60 FPS, and that's where you want to be. As a PC gamer, you do not really want to play under 60 FPS, right? So even like with the next generation game like Forza Horizon, you are getting an average of 60 FPS most of the time. Yeah, there's like some hiccups like here and there, like sometimes, as you can see, it's like 55 or 58, but that's because of the fraps. Fraps means like the recording software I'm using. It's using the NVIDIA's own inbuilt NVIDIA overlay, performance overlay. त्यसले गर्दामा त अलिकति यो भएको, but once that is gone, you know, like, you're just getting a butter smooth 60 FPS. And you can, as you can see, the next gen detail here, the shadow mapping of the headlight here, right? And one of the coolest thing here is inside the building, guys. As you can see, you know, like now your buildings in your open world game is not just plain texture, you know, it's actually tessellated 3D polygons with so much high detail. Like you can see all the interiors of this shop, a winery, your whatever shop that is, maybe a jewelry shop. You can even see some what do you call the textures inside the room upstairs, you know, like even in the house. Let me just go a little bit closer so that I can see more detail. um, yeah, as you can see, it's just not a plain texture. The house itself is a 3D polygon this time, guys. It's fully tessellated. You can see the stairs. You can see all those bottle of wines over there, right? So it's pretty decent game. अनि मैले तपाईलाई अघि नै एउटा कुरा भनेको थिएँ नि guys, like why I don't care about ray tracing that much, you know, like RTX graphic card for 2060, that's the first graphic card you can buy for RTX. It costs you around like $500, right? But I just got this Geforce for 180 bucks, right? If I look closely, you can see on the dashboard of this dash of this car, right? Everything is reflected in a real time. The poles, the cars. If I just go near to this car, I don't know if you guys noticed that or no, but you can see every reflection detail in real time. But matter of fact, the API using here for this game is not a ray tracing, it's a screen based reflection. And you know, like most of the modern gamers, you know, like PC gamers, I would say, don't owe RTX. Everyone over here isn't that rich to afford an RTX, right? So gaming companies have to be very aware that, you know, most of the people out there still owns GTX just like me, right? So in order to make profit, in order to sell their games, in order to make their games fly away from the shelf, right, they will have to make sure that this game is very well optimized for GTX cards just like me as well, right? So why do you need RTX? Because and another thing is that, you know, you are not gonna stare on that reflection all the time, because once I'm out of that reflection, I'm gonna focus on the road most of my time, right? My eyes are gonna get focused on the roads most of the time, so I do not really care about the reflection. But guys, as you can see, because we're inside the city, it's like around 58 FPS. But once I get rid of that fraps, right, it's gonna you know, like it's gonna like just free some of your resources, like your memories or your CPU power, and then that's when it's gonna show its full potential. So guys, I think, like, you know, I think that should be all for this video. Forza Horizon 4, that's the game I'm playing on GeForce GTX 1660 Super overclocked version, and i7-2600 CPU and 12 GB of RAM. So if you guys have any questions, one last time I'm gonna do is that I'm just gonna go out of the screen and share my camera, and then just show which actual graphic card I'm using. This is a single fan GTX, baby. I'm like, and don't just get, you know, confused by the single fan. Your single fan GTX is gonna run just fine, like your dual core or your your dual fan or your triple fan GTX. So do not worry much about that. I wouldn't really worry much about that, because graphic card company, you know, like the engineers in that company know much better than us. So if you just hear like someone saying, hey, single fan is not enough to cool down your system, that's not really true, because when I saw my overlay one more time, let me just pop that up. On the right hand screen, if you see my GPU temperature, it's like around 80 degree all the time, which is just fine for a GPU. You don't want to go above 95 degree. If it's above 95 degree, then that's really gonna get you into a trouble. You know, like that's really gonna get your GPU in trouble. But modern GPU are manufactured in such a way that once its sensor, you know, like senses that it's going above 95 degree threshold, then that is automatically gonna shut down your system to save it from dying itself, to save it from killing itself, sorry. So that's gonna be all, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Further, like म next time देखि बिस्तारै बिस्तारै मसँग भएको गेम्सहरू पनि रिभ्यू गर्दै जान्छु, र मसँग भएको गेम्सहरू actually, you know, if I go view, Oh, sorry, not that one. I can actually show you much better view. So these are the games I own, okay? And बिस्तारै बिस्तारै म यो गेमहरू रिभ्यू गर्दै जान्छु, लाइक एन्ड आई विल ट्राई टु स्पिक इन नेपाली. म नेपालीमा बोल्न खोज्छु जति सक्दो, किनभने मेरो टार्गेट अडियन्सेसहरू चाहिँ नि नेपाली गेमर्सहरू हुनेछ. बिकज मैले धेरै नै युट्युबमा चाहिँ नि यस्तो रिभ्युर्सहरू चाहिँ नि नेपालीहरू कमै देखेँ. सो आई ग्रु अप लाइक प्लेइङ भिडियो गेम्स. यो एज अफ एम्पायर चाहिँ नि मेरो पहिलो गेम हो. इट वाज रिलिज अलोङ माइक्रोसफ्ट विन्डोज 98 and that was probably the first game I played. So yeah, I'll try to catch up with more videos like this, and I'll make sure like म अझ नेपालीमा धेरै कुरा गरौँ ताकि मेरो अडियन्सेसहरूले अझ बुझुन्. So that's it, and have a good weekend, have a good day, and keep on gaming, baby. By the way, I'm using my Microsoft Xbox controller to play most of the games because gaming, to play every game except for the real-time strategies like Age of Empire, playing with controllers is much great experience. It's a different experience. I think everyone wouldn't agree, but like that is a great experience to play with the controller. Adios.